people are getting upset by this, but it is thermodynamics in fact. If you are eating a surplus, you will gain weight. If you're gaining weight, you're eating a surplus. It is genuinely that simple. Health considerations like thyroid problems, PCOS, and things along those lines probably don't do as much to your metabolism as you might think. Although I've done a few TikTok videos in my time, I've actually done quite a few. I actually stole this idea and the title from Justina. So you know what, shout you out. You're a good dudette, I like your stuff, but you already know I like your stuff. Which means we're gonna go through some TikToks, we're gonna pick them apart, we're gonna bring some education, bring some potentially entertainment, and also just bring some sauce that people might not be happy about. And as always, the deal is, if throughout this entire video you actually learn something from this video, then I'd really appreciate it if you did subscribe to the channel, as it would mean a lot to me. But again, only if you learn something. If you don't learn something, tell me to go away, leave me a nasty comment and dislike the video.
Liar. If you're fat, it's because you're overeating. It's not because you have a thyroid problem.
The whole basis of that video is basically you're fat because you eat too much, and that your health problems have nothing to do with it. Firstly, in some people's cases, yes, if you are eating in a surplus, you will be packing on weight.
There's a lot to pick apart here. Firstly, categorically, people are getting upset by this, but it is thermodynamics in fact. If you are eating a surplus, you will gain weight. If you're gaining weight, you're eating a surplus. It is genuinely that simple. Health considerations like thyroid problems, PCOS, and things along those lines probably don't do as much to your metabolism as you might think. They actually might just more impact hunger levels. So you might feel hungrier than normal, which would in turn, especially without tracking, would make you more likely to enter a surplus due to that additional hunger.
This idea of, oh, you're eating too much, so just don't eat anything and then you'll lose weight. Sure, but that's not sustainable.
I think sustainability is key. At the end of the day, you have to find something that allows you to be consistent, because if you're not consistent, you're not going to stick to it. If you hammer through a really aggressive deficit that you know makes you feel miserable, you're going to cut the deficit early and you're probably going to end up eating a lot to then regain a lot of the weight you may have lost, because again, it wasn't sustainable. Things like this kind of have to be a bit more of a lifestyle change depending on what your goals are.
I have a family member who was recently just diagnosed with diabetes, and I started tracking what she was eating so that I could help her, and she was only eating 800 calories a day. And she was wondering, how am I eating this little and I'm still packing weight? Medical conditions are real, and you just have to know how to work around them.
Medical conditions are real, 100% completely agree. I can't imagine anybody within the family here would be eating 800 calories and gaining weight. I've seen this a lot, trust me, I've seen this far more than you would ever imagine. But again, people will either lie to you or they're actually clueless. They think they're only eating 800 calories, but they don't take into consideration every calorie they're consuming. And they also don't take into consideration that their guesstimation could be wildly inaccurate. They're not doing that intentionally, they actually just don't know any better, or flip around. Sometimes genuinely people actually do lie to you. So if your aunt in this situation is claiming she eats 800 calories a day and she's gaining weight, she either is guessing incorrectly, or based on the fact that you said you're tracking what she's eating, which I assume comes from what she's telling you she's eating, she's probably not being entirely truthful, because you're not gaining weight on 800 calories. So genuinely, although medical conditions do exist, I fully agree with that. I do think they can influence a lot of things that one must consider. Medical conditions probably won't change your metabolism as much as you think they will, and realistically, if you're gaining weight, you're in a surplus. If you're losing weight, you're in a deficit. It is genuinely that simple.
Rarely in life are your quads ever doing anything like this. Yet, whenever people talk about training the quads, spamming leg extensions seems to be the primary approach. Your 4 quadricep muscles are also responsible for flexing the hip, stabilizing your kneecap. Only doing open chain leg extensions like this is doing your legs a massive disservice.
I'd agree, but I'd also disagree. So the rec fem is one of the muscles of the quads. It crosses at both the hips and the knees. Therefore, when you're doing like a squat pattern or anything like that, it's going to shorten at the knee and lengthen at the hip, which means its respective length does not change, which means it's not being worked adequately through those movements. To really put emphasis on the rec fem being that muscle, you need to consider either leg extension or a sissy squat are essentially your 2 primary options, and movement where knee extension is the only consideration there. Neglecting the rec fem and neglecting to train the rec fem, this could contribute to a lot of knee problems that some people may have. So although I don't think you should only do leg extensions, I do think doing an extension based movement like a leg extension or a sissy squat is going to be really important, in addition to other quad based movements. Do a mixture of both, target all the relevant areas, and you may well actually find not only do your legs potentially grow better, you may actually find your knees feel a bit better too. This is something I've seen pop up on the old TikTok machine quite a lot. How does this physique not get sponsored? 1 year plus training. But this one does. 3 years. I'll give you a pretty harsh and pretty fair, I think, reality check. Is sadly, this is actually a bit of a shocking one to understand. Your physique probably isn't actually that important when it comes to what people think about you. I think what's more important there is your behaviours and your actions. Your physique is probably not the only focal point there. They probably want to see somebody that maybe has a good following, obviously for marketing purposes. They also want to see somebody that they can align with their brand, that they don't have to worry about. Somebody who's not going to say silly things, be offensive, or maybe not be ideal for marketing purposes. Something like this could be a bit questionable there. They also probably want to find somebody that others might want to be like. Somebody that inspires people to do better, be better, and achieve more, and thus developing maybe a bit of loyalty to the creator, but also maybe even loyalty to the brand as well. Bashing somebody is not going to give you a better chance of success. If they succeed, they're going to succeed, and their success does not impact your success. What you can simply do is focus on yourself, your growth, and just encourage people to do the same, because what they achieve in the industry is going to have no relevance to what you achieve. And therefore, bashing somebody and knocking them down is not going to build you up. People are just going to have a bit of a sour taste in their mouth when you get mentioned. Be nicer, be better, do better, and I always say, leave people better than when you found them. Very quickly, link below in the description, you'll see a few things. You've got the application form to apply to work with myself, Ryder, or Beth, where we can coach you one-to-one online to help you achieve your goals. You've also got the link to the group coaching, which costs less than $1 a day and provides you with both home workouts and gym workouts for you to follow. And you've also got the link to the TFNL workout guides. So if any of those tickle your pickle, have a gander. And a little secret, there's a nutrition guide coming very soon.
Jeff, show me your best upper body workout.
I can do that. I'd start with some kind of horizontal press to target the pecs. Do an incline press to hit the upper chest more.
Starting with chest press, love it, I respect it. What you start with on a upper body day is completely up to you, but chest press is a good shout. A pec deck fly, also a bloody good shout. A pulling motion, a bloody good shout. So we get a movement where the arm is in front of the body here, getting some good lat action going on. I respect it. This is going well so far. Horizontal pull with high levels of abduction, so the elbows are high, a bit more upper back. I respect it. You're ticking boxes here. A bicep curl, you can do. That's up to you. We can talk about that in a second. A tricep movement, again, that's up to you. You can talk about that in a second as well. And lateral, I back some shoulders in there. So we're going to present something. So firstly, what I would say in an upper body workout, there's no right or wrong way to do it. How I would probably consider it is I'd probably do 2 push, 2 pull, maybe some arms as well. So that might be 1 chest, 1 shoulder, a lat movement, an upper back movement, a bicep, tricep, or I might do 2 chest, 2 back, 1 tricep, 1 bicep, or I might just remove the biceps and triceps entirely, maybe do 2 chest, 2 back, and maybe just 1 shoulder, like a lateral raise variation. There's no right or wrong way, but there is a bit of information here I want to address. Skull crushers for the triceps, behind your head. So the long head of the triceps gets a deeper stretch. There's actually a bit of an argument here that movements where you're in that overhead extended position, where you're kind of doing some overhead extension work, is actually going to take emphasis away from the long head of the tricep and shift emphasis a bit more to the medial and lateral heads. So the long head is like under here, the medial and lateral head is obviously lateral and medial down there. Those are the heads of the triceps that are probably most heavily worked during pressing movements, and you've already done the chest press already, you probably don't need to do them. I would actually probably do something like a rope push down or a cross body extension to shift a bit more emphasis to the long head of the tricep, because again, that's probably the one that's going to be most neglected throughout the session. With Jeff stating that obviously that movement kind of puts a bit more emphasis on the long head of the tricep, does not necessarily align with what I've read online and what I deem to be potentially accurate or correct, but again, I may be wrong.
Nothing bothers me more than when I see a body that's very obviously just genetics and fat placement, all that stuff, and not from working out, and I open the comments and it's like, routine now. Girl, tell us what you do.
This is actually very, very fair. Let's say somebody has a really developed bottom, a massive bottom, that you can tell is not primarily contractile tissue, which would imply a lot of it is fat tissue. That is nothing to do with their workout. That is purely genetics and where they hold fat. If someone has a well-developed bottom that is probably contractile tissue being muscle, that might also be very relevant to genetics, but that might be a bit more applicable to training. How you train is not going to determine your fat distribution, and also how you train is not going to determine your genetics. Don't overcomplicate things and don't compare yourself to people online, because they are not you. You are the only person who is you, and they're the only person that is them. Genuinely, when it comes to like building certain areas, if it's a lagging body part that you want to focus on, let's say the glutes for example, train it with sufficient intensity. Honestly, number 1, train hard. Don't do stupid volume. How you split that's up to you. And what I would simply say is whatever your lagging body part is that you really want to focus on, train it first in the session. Do that paired with maybe eating a slight surplus with sufficient protein, you're probably onto a winner. Someone else's routine is not going to change that, and you do not need any spicy, exciting exercises, you just need effective ones. ones. Just because you see somebody online with something that you don't have doesn't mean that what they did is going to help you get there. You need to find out what works for you. Compare yourself to others online is only going to leave you feeling probably pretty bad about yourself, and that's not going to help you get anywhere. That's it. That is the video. If you like the video, let me know you like the video by liking the video, and also let me know in the comment section below if you like the video and want to see more of it. Thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for tolerating my TikTok waffle that I potentially stole from Justina, and thank you for tolerating the video.